The college football experience, Hawaii Rainbow Warriors 2023 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Networks, brought to you by Circa Sports. Yes, Circa Sports is back with their Circa Survivor and Circa Millions contest. $14 million are up for grabs. Whew. Get all the details at circasports.com. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, this is Derek Stevens. I'm the owner of Circa Las Vegas. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome. Welcome to the college football experience, Hawaii Rainbow Warriors 2023 season preview. I'm super excited to talk Rainbow Warrior football, and perhaps you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to. Well, my name is Kobe Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
It's like Todd Graham's era. Pretend it never happened. Get along with your life. All right, that's what the Rainbow Warrior fans are saying out there. You know, I love this school. I think, you know, the youth doesn't understand that. Well, I got a lot to talk about. Let me introduce you first. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh.
Let's get it going. I love this program. I love the uniforms. They cannot fail at their uniform.
They do a dang good job.
You go back and watch the film in the 80s. Amazing unifier. You go back and watch it in the 90s. June Jones era. Fire. And now with the islands on the helmet, fire. Oh, it's just fantastic. And also, we are joined by third man in the booth. If you've been listening to our previews, all 133, which we are doing, you've heard him on every episode talking about his stadium experiences because, well, I mean, in my opinion, he's a college football must follow and just an absolute fucking legend because he goes to every single college football game, I think, ever. I haven't looked into it yet. If you go back in 1920 in that Cumberland, Georgia Tech game, he might have been there. I give you one Michael Barker, a.k.a. College Football Campus Tour at CFB Campus Tour on Twitter, which, like I said, the guy goes to every single game ever, and he documents it all on his page. It's a must follow for any college football fan. How you doing, Michael? And thanks for hopping on the show.
I'm doing great. Appreciate the intro. Two things. One, I'm like that John 3:16 guy with the rainbow wig from the 70s at every game. So I might have been at every game ever. And then the second thing, part of our handshake agreement to do all the previews for 133 stadiums was me getting to appear for the Hawaii episode. So I'm happy to be here.
100%. And I'm going to ask that story of how you became involved with Hawaii. But I want to crowbar in the fact that for me, and people don't realize, the youth doesn't realize that we used to have to listen to college football games on the radio. And growing up in D.C., you would get the regional games, so you wouldn't get anything west of, like, you know, the Mississippi, really. So you'd be, you know, checking out the radio networks for the score, stuff like that. And then in the mid 90s when DirecTV came out and stuff.
We're talking about the 1990s, not the 1890s, but it was about the same experience there.
I've actually listened to games on the radio like it was 1940. But so for some reason, they did a deal. Hawaii was on Fox Sports late night in starting in 95, I feel like, when DirecTV came out. So me and my brothers got to watch Hawaii, specifically Hawaii, every single week. And it made us a fan instantly. My NC Nick's not on this episode, but he has a Timmy Chang jersey from back in his playing days. But we started watching them and diving into them and watching, it was like something out of a dream. It was like you wait all day and it's like, wait, the thing comes on at midnight. And it just seemed so cool. Like from the uniforms to the culture that they would, do with the dance, the pregame ritual and everything. It just seemed like some fantasy. Like we're watching, like, I don't know. It just seemed like by far like one of the coolest college football experiences.
Well, they do the 11:59 kick Eastern time, right?
Yeah.
It has to be on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So they wait till the last second possible to play the ball.
And it was just so fantastic. So Michael, I'm curious. Hawaii, it seems like the team that you root for. So how did that come to fruition?
Well, I have the same experience as you. I grew up in San Diego State territory, WAC conference, watching the late night games either in Jack Murphy Stadium or Hawaii playing the late one on Oahu, growing up with Timmy Chang setting all these NCAA records. And it did seem like a faraway place, some magical land. And, for us people who live on the mainland, you hear somebody talk about a fantasy vacation, they always talk about Hawaii. So, being a sports fan, you're thinking about where can I combine a tropical vacation or experience in football? And that was the place. And, Aloha Stadium, just the way it looked, obviously hosted the Pro Bowl every year, just fervor, 50,000 people. It looked like an incredible experience. They got huge wins, rivalries with BYU. And I wanted to experience that myself. And so part of my traveling, when I started doing it, I made a rule I was going to go to Hawaii each year. I visited Hawaii. I went to games in 2017, 2018, and 2019. One of the last games at Aloha Stadium. And, we can get farther into it. But most recently, I've been to Hawaii 9 times in the last 24 months for a lot of experiences. And I'm very thankful for those.
Yeah, and even this show and our network, SGPN, I was thinking about this. I think we have the most connection to Hawaii, even though we haven't been there. I mean, I know some of the other guys have been there, but I'm saying we've had June Jones on the show multiple times. We've had Jerry Glanville on the show. We've had Nick Rolovich on the show. So we have a lot of Hawaiian or former Hawaii guys that have been on this show, and obviously Timmy Chang played under some of those guys. So. And coached with some of those guys, and I'm just excited.
Hawaiian ties,
and you've been lobbying forever that they should be in the Pac-12.
Of course,
every episode.
No team that's more Pacific than Hawaii. They're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, right?
Yeah. Put
them in the Pac-12, and look, that is a state that has a lot of talent there, and I'll give them that kind of edge where they don't have to leave the state. They don't have to leave the islands to play big boy football.
Yeah.
Boom. All of a sudden you got a powerhouse.
Yeah. They do have great players that have come out of. We've seen them go elsewhere, whether isn't Palomalu from Hawaii? Is that, am I wrong there? Chris Naoli is an offensive lineman that I remember from Colorado. I do believe he's from Hawaii.
Yeah. I want to say
Tua,
right.
Obviously.
They're like, in terms of per capita talent, like 10th most in a study I just saw from 2019. And I'm surprised it's not higher. I think if you take into account the like Samoan Islands too, I think it's probably even higher than that.
Yeah, they got just unbelievable football down there. And, this is a program that, I get it. Like they're coming off a tough year, Timmy Chang year 1, but overall, like historically, you go back to what's great about YouTube is you can go back and watch some of these old games when they had Dick Tomey and Paul Johnson was running the offense, and all the way to the June Jones era, and then the Rolovich era, and they've had great winning seasons. Like they've been a very good program for a team that's way over there on the island where their closest rival is what? You said San Diego State?
Who's their most played? I want to say that's one of the most. I believe it's Fresno, San Jose State, and San Diego State. Somewhere in that.
You're at a little bit of a disadvantage being so far away, and here they are with great history. And by the way, I'll add in 2 national championships, Patty C. And look, anyone at Hawaii, anyone at the University of Hawaii, feel free to contact me. We are a publication over here at SGPN. We will deem you national champions because, you go through the history of college football, you see some very questionable national championships by the Waterloo, Iowa Register or something like that. So look, I look back, I see a 1925 season 10-0. I don't know who they played. I'd be very curious to see who they play, but 10-0, and also a 4-0 season in 1919. So I will deem you two-time national champion. But in general, hit us up and we will. This program has great success. So I don't know. Anyway, let's get to this thing because we're going to break down the offense. We're going to break down the defense. We're going to break down the transfer portal and special teams. But before we do that, I want to tell you that the College Football Experience Hawaii Rainbow Warriors 2023 season preview is brought to you by Circa Sports. Circa Millions and Circa Survivor are back. Yes, and $14 million in guaranteed prizes is up for grabs. The Circa Millions, folks, we haven't done this. You pick 5 NFL picks each week, ATS. It's a contest. You win. You'll win, like I said, $14 million up in prizes. Also, Circa Survivor. Just pick a different moneyline winner each and every week. You can enter in Las Vegas, but you can play from anywhere. And the Sports Gambling Podcast, the SGPN crew will be out there the last weekend in August. So if you're out there, please hit us up. Circasports.com for all the details. Once again, circasports.com. Patty C, what would you do with $14 million?
I'd try and hang out with the college campus tour over here and take some trips to Hawaii.
Let's do it. We can do it with a lot less than 14 mil, but that would go a long way. We could do it.
There we go. So, folks, make sure you check out, once again, circasports.com for all the details. All right, we are back on the College Football Experience and Hawaii Rainbow Warriors 2023 preview. It wouldn't be the preview without our song, Patty C, without this banger.
Play it, baby. Not for Michael Barker. Seems to get out there quite often.
For the other teams going to play. It is a hard ticket to Hawaii, and it was for Todd Graham, but thankfully that era is over. Timmy Chang, year 1, Patty C. Obviously, we kind of knew he was walking into a tough scenario. He was a late hire because of the Graham situation, and it was just a crazy, it seemed like there was like a mutiny. I feel like the whole team left, and so we knew he was walking into a tough scenario. 3-10 in year 1. But to me, I expected them to be bad knowing all that stuff happened. To me, what I saw, though, throughout the season was a ton of growth. The first month, it seemed like they were getting destroyed by anyone in the FBS. Yes, they beat Duquesne, but, you look at a 53-point loss to Vanderbilt, a 32-point loss to Western Kentucky, I think a 19-point loss to New Mexico State. But then they got that bye week on Saturday, October 1st. And then after that, they seemed to really kind of turn into a different team. Yes, they still got blown out by Fresno, but Fresno won the Mountain West. What'd you make of Timmy Chang in year 1?
Exactly what you're pointing out. Much more, I guess, competitive on the back end of that schedule.
It exceeded my expectations for year 1. I know that sounds crazy when you say, well, they're 3-10. Michael, what'd you think of year 1 of the Timmy Chang era?
So I think to properly understand the challenge of year 1 for Timmy Chang, you got to go back a couple of years. And if you look at the end of 2019, you had Hawaii go 8-5. They played in the Mountain West Championship against Boise. Nick Rolovich was Mountain West Coach of the Year, and they ended up beating BYU in the Hawaii Bowl. And I don't know if any program was hit harder by COVID than Hawaii, because after that, we all know Rolovich went to Washington State. They condemned Aloha Stadium. Todd Graham takes over, who did not blend with the Hawaii program for many reasons. Their all-time winningest quarterback, legend, Colt Brennan, passed away. They were scheduled to play in the 2021 Hawaii Bowl, and they canceled it 15 hours before the game. And when they were looking for a new coach after a player mutiny you talked about, including star local boy quarterback Chevin Cordero transferring to San Jose State, the AD at the time, David Matlin, passed on June Jones, who a lot of people wanted, and took a chance on Timmy Chang, a guy who was never a coordinator in college. So You get them now, fast forward to 2022, 2023. They have a new AD, Greg Angelos, who was responsible for building the FAU, beautiful, one of the best G5 stadiums out there. They're also expanding their current stadium to 17,000 seats. They're doing great with local recruits, and the new Aloha Stadium is scheduled to be built in 2028. So when you look at all the things that happen and where they're laying at now, it's actually great progress. And I was at the opener when they played Vanderbilt. They got up 7-0, and then it was 60 straight points. To see that and then watch how they finished out the year on the second half, improvements on defense. Schager became a much more consistent passer, and they got the running game going. So all those things being said, but I think really people should, I don't want to necessarily use the word appreciate, but take into consideration how hard they were hit in the uphill battle that Timmy Chang had in year one.
100%. And to see that he was still like I said, I knew it was going to be a tough year, and I'm rooting for Timmy Chang. Like I said, we got to watch him back in the day, and if you had told me, give me one coach you want to see win, like I want it to be Timmy Chang in Hawaii. I want this program to be back on the map where it should be.
And we're huge and I'm drawing a blank on his name.
June Jones
fans.
Yeah.
But we wanted to see him succeed, but Timmy Chang is just like, okay, that's a super likable guy too. And so it's like, okay. And then you got,
he's one of their own too.
He's one of their you always want to see that, like, especially on the islands. So even though we were disappointed, we thought, June Jones would be a great fit. We knew it was going to be a harder road to hoe with Timmy Chang, but they did improve in the second half of the year, and the long-term potential is there with Chang. It might have been the right move.
And I'll be honest, we wanted June Jones so we could hit him up and say, hey, can we come to a game?
Right.
So, you got a little bit of that going on.
Ulterior motives
but
here.
Yeah, man, they almost beat San Diego State at the snapper on October 8th. They ended up losing by 2. Just so the folks out there, they beat Nevada. They beat UNLV. Close loss to San Diego State. Close loss to Colorado State. Close loss to Wyoming. Close loss to Utah State. So, they really progressed as the season went along.
It seems like in that Bobby Bowden, a list of steps to build a program, they took steps 1 and 2 last year.
In year 1.
Lose big, lose small. Hopefully this year is win small, and maybe even by the end of the year, win big.
There we go. Let's get into it, buddy. Because so breaking it down, 2023 college football, we can't do a preview. 5 years ago when we were doing this, 6 years ago when we were doing this, we could kind of brush over the transfer portal. you can't do that these days. So let's hop into it as far as what they lost, what they gained in the portal. Well, they lost quarterback Cameron Cooper, who was a Wazoo transfer just from a few years ago. He goes to the Southeastern Lions. Also lost offensive lineman Nate Adams to Stephen F. Austin. And then just a couple other guys that are currently in the portal. They haven't found a destination yet. Cornerback Trayvon Killing, safety Ty Marsh, kicker Kyle Halverson, and safety Tiger Peterson. They didn't lose that much when you consider, Cooper ended up being a backup. I know he played some, but then incoming, they brought in defensive lineman Josh Jerome from Eastern Washington, wide receiver Stephen McBride from the Kansas Jayhawks, offensive lineman Joshua Adkins from the Houston Cougars, linebacker Patrick Histake from the Cal Golden Bears, defensive lineman, Keau Peopa from Washington, defensive end Elijah Robinson from ECU. That's the one spot I'm okay with. When the ECU guys leave, I'm like, you want to go to Hawaii, go to Hawaii. Cornerback Cameron Stone from Wyoming and athlete Oki Salavea from Colorado. Patty C, I would say they won the portal just by how many Power 5 guys that even if they don't start, it's going to add depth. What'd you make of the portal there?
Yeah, not a ton of guys that I'm super familiar with, if I'm being honest.
But they didn't lose anybody to a P5.
Yeah, it sounds like, the list of outgoing players is 10 times shorter than most of the teams we've been previewing. So continuity for Hawaii at this point is huge. So that sounds like a win.
Yeah, Michael, what do you think just off of me rattling that off? I know, we probably don't have tape on all those guys, but what you think they won? I would say they won the portal. What about you?
Yeah, especially compared to 2021. Part of the reason that Timmy Chang was hired to begin with was Nobody could have corrected the on-field stuff, but what he could do as the figurehead of the program, keeping the local players there, and then also attracting transfers who maybe initially from high school left Hawaii to go to the mainland and now want to come back and have pride for Hawaii. You know, as people know, Hawaii doesn't have any other professional sports. It's just Hawaii football. So big time backing. But to be able to keep those guys local and have hope, it's something that Timmy Chang obviously has his hands all over.
Yeah. I think they won that thing, and I think good things are coming. And I also think there's an advantage to having a coach that's a former player, to know that he's been there.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, and obviously the huge gap from Todd Graham, who seemed like he was unwanted, to a guy that is one of their own. I dig it, and I hope it works out. What's that?
Todd Graham, just from an optic standpoint, is just the flat top, you know. Yeah. It's the last thing on the Hawaiian Islands.
He was mad that what, they didn't have Dr. Pepper. It was like a drunk man at Taco Bell. It was like, oh, yeah, what do you mean you don't have Dr. Pepper? You know what I mean? Like,
by the way, Michael Parker, you told us a little episode or a little story pre-episode about Dr. Pepper being a thing, and you almost bought yourself a Dr. Pepper jersey, or is that your Dr. Pepper jersey?
So this is Hawaii Rainbows retro basketball jersey, but just to back up that Dr. Pepper story. So Todd Graham called Hawaii a third world country because there was no Dr. Pepper in the vending machines there. He also did not like Spam. He didn't like the sound of the ukulele. I mean, everything you could do to scratch a chalkboard in class and be the opposite of everyone, that's what this guy did. It took Chevin Cordero transferring and, like Colby said earlier, a player mutiny to do it. But there's a high school all-star game every year. It's called the Polynesian Bowl. It's played in January. It attracts some of the top talent in the country. 2 years ago, Travis Hunter played there, who went to Jackson State and now followed Dion to Colorado. And so I ordered a Dr. Pepper Hawaiian shirt, and I was going to wear it to the game. They ended up hiring Timmy Chang, and I think we all flushed our mind of Todd Graham. But I had that shirt. I was ready to go. And if I could have trolled Todd Graham in person, I mean, I'm 6'3". He wouldn't have done anything. It would have been a lot of fun.
Oh, man. What an asshole. What an asshole to come into. I mean, it just reminds me one time I was at the fine establishment known as Chipotle. And someone was mad that they didn't have Jack. That, you know, you can get like a cocktail sort of you can get like a beer or like a margarita. I think it's like a pre-made margarita. Yeah. Some dude was like hammered at a Chipotle, and he kept yelling, "Hey, you guys don't have Jack Daniels, right?" It's like that was Todd Graham. That was Todd Graham on the island there. All right. Well, look, the offense year one, Timmy Chang. They were 114 scoring offense in the nation. The rush offense was 85th. The pass offense was 98th. And total offense, 103rd. I know Timmy Chang ran the the run and shoot in college, and he did coach under the air raid of Matt Mummy, Hal Mummy's son at Nevada / Colorado State for just a couple weeks. So the offense, considering what he walked into, 103rd, obviously you want to improve that. You look and you try to forecast the way this team will look coming into the season this year. I'm actually a little more high on this team from an offense, 104th offense, just because of what I know they had to endure last year and the year prior, and know that, they do return their quarterback. They do return. It's Schlager, right? The correct way to say it.
Schager?
Is it Schager?
Schager. Yeah. I don't know. Goldschlager. I was thinking of, but
wishful thinking.
Yes, I mean, but should we expect, you think, the offense to take that jump, considering the fact that, that just the fact they have stability at the quarterback position? What do you think, Patty C?
That obviously helps, especially in the run and shoot when you're that pass happy. Saw something about in one of these publications, Dan Smooth Morrison, one of the quarterbacks coach who kind of has coached up a lot of these guys like Tua Tagovailoa, etc. Being there now, I don't know if they had hired him prior to this year or if he's just coming in this year, but you got a bunch of guys helping out with the quarterback position and who know the run and shoot backwards and forwards. That's going to help.
Yeah, Ian, their offensive coordinator, Ian Shoemaker. This guy was at Eastern Washington previously, and Eastern Washington's offense could really fly. So I just think second year of that, we might have something going. I know you look at the running back spot, they just have Tylan Hines is back for his sophomore season, but he was a freshman a year ago. He's penciled in as the starter. As far as the starting wideouts, 2 of 3 back, Jonah Panoke and Jalen Walthall are back at the wide receiver spots. They are breaking in a new tight end in Grayson Morgan. But here's the big thing. I think the offensive line, and that's what jumped out to me in September last year. The line of scrimmage, they were bad, especially in September. And that's what I mean by the growth of the way the line played. You look at what they bring back. They're only bringing back 2 starters from a year ago. But I think they had an opportunity to go out and get depth. They got a Utah transfer that's projected to be a starter. Do you think the offense will be better just naturally in year 2, knowing the crazy scenario Chang walked into in year 1?
I mean, yeah, you definitely have to figure that any system overhaul. I guess, Graham had run something a little bit similar. He was a little bit pass happy, but still terminology, and especially like you said, the late start for Chang. Yeah, an entire offseason that's not completely in a state of flux is going to be helpful.
What do you think, Michael? I think the offense. I expect this to be a top. Like they will definitely be top 100. I know they were 104, 103. I expect them to be more so 70s, 80s, something like that this upcoming year. How about yourself?
Yeah, you talked about that opening game at Vanderbilt, and I was there. And Schager was running for his life. He had no time. They couldn't get a third down conversion. They were outmatched. And you have an SEC team coming in there, and you know what that's going to be. But it was, the first 5 games of the year, they went 1-4. They were outscored 227-87, and their only win was 24-14 over an FCS team. In the second half of the season, they went 2-5, but 4 of their losses were within 1 score. And Schager, who I think maybe had 1 200-yard game in the first 5, had 5 straight games over 200 yards and averaged 229 yards a game, including 1 300-yard passing game. So something clicked later in the season. We also know that the run and shoot is going to sacrifice a little bit of pass protection to cause chaos in the secondary with those short crossing routes. So some of that is to be expected. But, as far as the litmus test, are they going to hit the ground running perfectly in week 1? Possibly, but they already proved that they can improve that offense, and we saw it in the second half of last year.
Yeah, and if you look at his previous coach was Jay Norvell. That Timmy Chang coached with Jay Norvell. He, at Nevada, struggled the first year, took a big jump the second year. Perhaps that can be the same.
Another thing that I'm looking at that showed progression just from the course over the course of year 1 was Tylan Hines, who was second in the nation in yards per rush at 7.6. Throughout the first 6 games of the season, he didn't have more than 8 rushes. The second half of the season, he had 9 or more, 5 out of 7 times. And so maybe they figured out a way, okay, we got the passing element of the game down, and it sounds like the running element came right around the same time. So maybe something clicked mid-season.
Well, and Timmy Chang came so late. That hire didn't, a lot of times college football, you see the hires happening now in November and December. I don't recall. I don't have this information in front of me, but I believe it was like February or something when they hired Timmy Chang. So you're a little up against it. You're probably learning who you have a little bit. You get spring, but if you're that late through the season of hey, this is our guy. So there is that. Defensively, they got the second-year DC Jacob Yoro. Their defense. Obviously, if you go back, but this is another one. This is another example that to me, they got a lot better. Now, I know early in the year, you're getting 2 Power 5 schools a year ago, Vanderbilt and Michigan. So they're giving up 63 and 56. Okay, that's brutal. Western Kentucky also had a top 10 offense. They dropped 49 on you. But after that bye week, Patty C, they gave up 16 to San Diego State, who we know is a pretty talented team from a recruiting standpoint within the Mountain West. Then another 16 against Nevada, who was in their first year head coach Ken Wilson there. Then 17 to the Colorado State Rams. Then 27 to Wyoming, and then Fresno dropped 55. But Jeff Tedford and Fresno were rolling.
Yeah.
Jake Hayner's in the NFL. Then they give up 41 to Utah State, 25 to UNLV, and just 27 to San Jose State, who was a bowl team. My point is like, okay, the Utah State game and the Fresno game, they gave up a lot of points, but other than that, they kind of did a great job on the back end of this schedule, defensively from giving up points. I don't know. I mean, let me dive in.
Definitely tightened up considerably.
Let me dive into the stats because they were 122nd in scoring defense, 125th in rush defense. I think that's what you got to circle that right there. You got to circle that right there. You can't be that bad at run defense and expect to win games. 65th in pass defense, but once again, I think that can be a little bit diluted because your rush defense is that bad. Why throw the ball? Yeah. 116th in total defense, but once again, I would say the same thing. I think they made great strides.
Having Michigan on the schedule probably skewed that rushing defense stat pretty heavily too.
True, because Harbaugh loves to pound the rock.
Probably ran for 500 yards on him.
Well, they returned 9 starters on defense. This is, I think, a unit you can be if you follow the progression that I just alluded to in the second half of the season, and then the fact that they returned 9 starters, and to me the pieces they brought in on the defensive side of the ball, a couple Washington transfers, a Cal transfer. I think they're all going to pay off. An ECU transfer. I think they're all going to be, adding depth to this defense. Michael, do you think the defense will take a big jump as well?
I think it should. Last year, last in the Mountain West, 34.7 yards a game. Last in pass defense, 438 yards a game. Last in rushing, 213 yards a game. The opener, you talked about 401 yards of rushing for Vanderbilt. They did get better, but they also gave up 326 yards to Wyoming. And it's a compounding problem when your offense can't convert third downs. It puts the defense on the field more often. And when the defense is on the field more often, they're giving up more points. And then later in the game, the team has the lead and they're going to run for more yards. So this is something where everything needs to tighten up. They had one of the worst secondaries in the Mountain West. Why? Because they couldn't get to the passer. And so all these things come together. So the combination of the experience, the second year in the system, the transfers coming in, and, the improvement. I mean, San Diego State, they almost beat field goal to lose in the last 7 seconds of the game. So there's hope. They also have Air Force back on the schedule this year. They haven't played them since 2019. Brad Roberts, the leading rusher in all of college football. So that will be a challenge. But I think that replenishing the roster, the transfer portal, second year in the system, and hopefully, the offense was one of the worst as far as time of possession in the conference too. So if everything could improve together, they have a chance on defense to be a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I butchered these names. My apologies from the start. Our guy, welcome to UAB, says he loves it when I'm doing the Hawaii BYU preview because I have a hard time pronouncing these names. But 3 of 4 back on the D line, led by you got Andrew Choi and John Tuapulu. I'm probably butchering that. The linebacking core. Look, I'm gonna just go with the low hanging fruit here. Logan Taylor's 1 of 2 back at the linebacking core. And
don't mention the other ones.
Oh no, they're just hard to pronounce. Isaiah Tufaga. In the secondary, you're bringing back pretty much everybody, and then the fact you add in a Washington transfer and then a Wyoming transfer, as I alluded to, in Cameron Stone. So I do think the defense can jump. Now they do bring back their kicker, who is also their punter in Matthew Shipley. Gotta love that. I've always wondered why teams don't do that more often.
Yeah, why
waste a roster spot? You know what I mean? But anyway, altogether, I expect this team to be in a much better shape just as a team, from an offense to defense to in tune with what the coaches want going forward into this season. So I'm much more optimistic. We're going to get to going game by game on the schedule, but I'm much more optimistic about their success this year than opposed to last year.
Of course.
What are you going to say?
Well, they got here's a challenge for you. Here's a challenge for me. Pronunciation wise, I don't know if you guys heard of this guy, Eddie Osai Niketia. He's the fastest person in Australian history at the 100-meter dash. 10.08 in the 100-meter dash. I think he broke his own father's national record. Do we have any Pick Dundee music for this Aussie?
Oh, sure. We certainly do.
True freshman class of 2023 somehow managed to not be ranked by 24/7 Sports 0 stars, but here we have probably the fastest player in all of college football on Hawaii, 6'5" receiver.
What?
6'5", running a 10.08 in the 100. If this guy has any hands whatsoever, just send him on the fly route, and he could change the entire offense.
Dude, I'm always excited. Honestly, I'm not doing this because it's a Hawaii episode. I don't cater to every episode.
Yeah.
Like if we're talking on like Texas, I hate Texas, right? Yeah. I love Hawaii.
Got to.
I love Hawaii.
Not an American,
right?
If you hate Hawaii.
And when you tell me something like that, so they're already must-watch TV, but when you tell me something like that. Yeah. I'm like, okay, we're circling this. We're watching it. We're keying in on this every single weekend.
Just to see this guy.
Get him the ball.
Apparently, he's like an all-purpose player. So it could be at running back. It could be at wideout.
I love it.
Let's see this guy in action.
Look, we're going to go game by game on the schedule and project just how the Rainbow Warriors will do in 2023. So, buckle up, folks. And remember, subscribe to the College Football Experience on YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience. But before we get to go game by game, I want to tell you that the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors 2023 season preview episodes brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania is here, and Underdog Fantasy is giving away $15 million in prizes. Yes, Underdog Pick'em is a great way to get down on your favorite MLB and NFL season player props, but also when college football season comes around. And if you listen to us in years previously, I think the past 2 years, I've really highlighted this from Underdog Fantasy. They'll do a lot of cool little things, player props, stuff like that with certain players, especially those Maction Tuesday, Wednesday games and stuff like that. So check it all out. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use that promo code SGPN for 100% deposit bonus. There are so many ways to win over at Underdog, and Underdog's available in so many different states. So that's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. All right, we are back on the College Football Experience. And if you're watching on YouTube, like I said, youtube.com/the College Experience, that is our hub for all of our college experience things. So we host the College Baseball Experience, the College Basketball Experience, the FCS College Football Experience, the regular College Football Experience. All right, that comes together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience. If you're watching, though, you see this sweet graphic. Shout out to our graphics guy, Cameron Kerr, who made this graphic for us. And what you see there is he has the win total on there from DraftKings at 3.5. 3.5, Patty C. Wait a second. We know Hawaii gets to play 13 games, right? 3. They won 3 last year, and it was and Timmy Chang had to inherit that mess.
The disrespect.
So blindly, before we dive into it, I love the over. You
have to.
Yeah, just believing in the culture, I would say that is something that stands out to me from the start. And they don't have Michigan on the schedule. Do we add that? But let's get to it. Week 0. Yes, week 1 for Hawaii occurs during week 0. It's all confusing. Look, August 26th in Nashville. Revenge, perhaps, because they take on the Vanderbilt Commodores. I do like what Clark Lee is doing at Vanderbilt. I don't know if Hawaii is there yet because I've seen Clark Lee has taken the necessary steps. I feel like last year we finally saw that first real big step as a program for his tenure in Nashville. So I would favor Vanderbilt here. I think I got to take Vanderbilt, but I think it's going to be a lot closer this year. What are you doing here?
I agree with you. I think he's getting Vanderbilt in the right place. They're number 60 nationally in the conference composite or the national composite talent rankings, and Hawaii's down under 100. So I think even though they are the basement of the SEC, there's still a considerable talent gap. So I got to go Vanderbilt in Nashville. Long road trip too.
Michael, week 0. First off, with Michael, you got to ask these things. Will you be at this game? Michael, will you be at this game? And if so, who do you think wins this one?
So I planned on being there. However, Vanderbilt Stadium is undergoing construction. It's a horseshoe shape, and they are knocking out the base of the horseshoe and remodeling it. And so I can't navigate the stadium the way that I would like to. So unfortunately, I will not be there. I was there last year when they played in Honolulu, so I saw it in person. Vanderbilt 2 years ago, they lost a home opener to East Tennessee State. Things change, but that does give you some inkling that, maybe you can surprise people out the gate. But what I saw, I know that Hawaii improved over the second half of the season, but the talent gap from August last year, week 0 to this year, I don't think they've closed that gap. I think that Vanderbilt has recruited another year. Clark Lee is in the same year as Timmy Chang, so he's had the same ability to get talent in there. 404 yards rushing, 600 yards of offense. I don't see Hawaii coming out of that game with a win, which is not unexpected. But I see Vanderbilt being the clear favorite.
A couple years ago, I wouldn't have thought that, but Clark Lee
Lee's doing a good job. Yeah. He's doing a good job.
They're 60 talent composite. Hawaii 110 in talent composites. There's a huge gap there.
Yeah, and they started a freshman quarterback last year. He's back. He looked pretty good. Okay, but now I'm curious. Now, a lot of times when you see them have to go to the East Coast, especially that far east, you normally give yourself a bye week. They don't. They come back to the island at the Ching Complex for Stanford on Friday. So, damn, they have a short week, too. Not only do they have that, they also have a short week. But Stanford in this spot, and I circled this game. I circled this game because I think Stanford basically has a tough scenario here. They bring in head coach Troy Taylor, who I think is a good coach. He comes in from Sacramento State, took them to an undefeated regular season a year ago in the Big Sky. But a lot of the team left, and that happens. That's the current state of college football. A lot of the team left. They said our coach that recruited is not there. They bounce. The problem is Stanford can't really take advantage of the transfer portal because they don't care about football. The academics, you can't get in, and then they don't care for grad school. No, they're like, no, you're not getting in. So I do think Stanford is due. I actually believe this is a much more winnable game than Vanderbilt, especially because it's on the island. It's in Troy Taylor's second game. It's a little bit of a change in philosophy, even though I know that Stanford, like the past year or two, was starting to pass a little bit more and be a little more finesse. This is a big change in philosophy. Still from a defensive standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, I think this game, I circled this one as one that I think is winnable for Hawaii. Are you going to go there, Petty C? What are you doing here? I'm trying to talk myself into taking Hawaii here.
I mean, it's tempting. You're right. All the things you're saying, especially being early in the season, new system. I mean, I guess they had gotten kind of a little pass happy, so maybe not that huge of a system change.
But they got questions at quarterback. They got huge questions at offensive line. I'm talking about Stanford.
I don't know how much of Stanford's roster transferred away, but they are 23 in the talent composite.
They do have Emmett Smith's son at running back. I am concerned. But I am concerned about him running wild in Honolulu. But I'm going to go Stanford. I'm telling you, I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked if they stole this one. Michael, what are you doing here on the island for their home opener?
Yeah, this is a good one to circle. Stanford 3-9 last year, lost their last 5, giving up 39 points a game. They beat Arizona State and Notre Dame, so they can go up and beat big teams. You talked about Troy Taylor. Not only did he go undefeated last year, he went undefeated the year before, and then in 2019, because FCS didn't play the 2020, he went 7-1. So the Big Sky Conference is maybe the best conference besides the Missouri Valley and FCS. And over a 3-year period, he went 23-1. So great coach, local guy coming not that far to Palo Alto from Sacramento. So they have a lot of reason to be, excited about that hire. But Friday night opening game last year, Ching Complex on campus had 9,000 seats. This year, it's going to have 17,000 seats. They brought the scoreboard from Aloha Stadium. They're putting it up there. I was there last year for the opener of Vanderbilt. The vibe is out of control. And then the last time they played a P5 was 2019. It was the opener. They played Arizona. I was at that game, and that's where they tackled Khalil Tate on the 1-yard line to win that. So my official prediction is Stanford. However, this is an extremely winnable game. And if you're going to catch somebody, this is the same scenario as catching Timmy Chang in his first year last year. Catch Troy Taylor in his first road game on a Friday night in a hostile environment.
First game, period.
It could happen.
Yeah.
That just dawned on me, too. Like when I said, it's Stanford's second game. No, I'm sorry. It's Stanford's first game. And the fact Hawaii gets to go play a game I think that's an advantage for any team. Well, I've always said this: the team that plays week 0 gets to figure out
Live
a little bit who they are.
Massively important. At the beginning of this,
dude, I'm calling it. This is it.
Calling the upset.
This is it, man. This is it. After they get the week 0 game, the only thing that bothers me is the travel. I would have loved to have this been the game on the island against Vanderbilt week 1, and then stay on the island to get Stanford. But it is what it is. This could happen, especially because Troy Taylor is a great coach, but if he's gonna, where would you want to get him? If you told Timmy Chang we're gonna have to play Troy Taylor and the Stanford Cardinal, you're gonna say week 1,
and
right?
You know what, Stanford potentially somehow looking ahead to USC the following week on the road.
Rivalry game for the final time. That's a long rivalry, and obviously that's going away as USC joins the Big Ten. Maybe they'll get Hawaii to join the Big Ten too. But I mean, look, give me that upset special. Give me that upset special. I'm buying in. Week 3 for Hawaii. Actually, this team plays in week 0 also. And that is the Great Danes of Albany. Some have called for them to be a surprise team in the CAA this year. They have a very good quarterback in Reese Paulfenberger, who just followed NC Nick on Twitter, and he let us know that. But Reese can play. This is a gigantic trip. This has got to be the furthest trip in the whole college football season, right?
Maine to Albany to
Come on, dude. What is this? What is this flight time? What is this flight? I want to know. This is Hawaii's winning streak here. They're going to be 2-0 at the Chin Complex Center. Bring your membership, Patty C. What are you doing here?
By the way, Mike, I gotta get the lowdown on. I don't know if we recorded a segment for that or if we're just going to talk about that.
No, we're going to talk about it after this.
Okay, I want to hear about the Chin Complex, but they're going to get the win here. Let's go. Rainbow Warriors.
2-1, man. 2-1. Michael, I know you got him. Well, I guess Patty C would have him 1-2. Michael, potentially 1-2 for you. What do you got him doing against the Great Danes?
Yeah, so they went 3-8 last year. You talked about Poffenbarger, 24 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 3,000 yards passing. So good stats. This is a big jump up. There is some concern. Hawaii played at FCS Duquesne 24-14 last year, but this is a Hawaii victory, so you can mark it down.
Let's go. And then, unfortunately, this is the one that's like Michigan, man. Yeah. They head to Autzen Stadium, Eugene, Oregon, one of the best places, allegedly, to catch a college football game. I haven't been. Michael, is this one of the best places to catch a college football game?
This is, because it's a environment that is very rare on the West Coast. Hostile. Close quarters. It's a very deep bowl, so the crowd is right on top of you. It holds in the sound. And, there's a lot of coaches who've said this is the loudest stadium they've seen. It has under 60,000 seats, and you compare that with these SEC stadiums, Big Ten, they got 100,000. So intimidating, close to you, scary place. And they say it never rains in Autzen either, but I've been wet a couple times.
I mean, look, I can't say this is the one that's going to be.
They're going to get worked.
This is the one that's going to be out of hand. Yeah. But hey, I do like the fact that they're playing Oregon. I like the fact right there, on the ocean, state of Oregon.
There you go. I mean, really, this
counts as a border battle. I know you love to say border battles, right? This one counts, right?
They're almost touching each other. There's no land in between them. This is kind of like a recruiting trip for Oregon. It's amazing how much all of these Western teams go into the islands and just mine the talent out of them.
Yeah. Michael, I mean, any chance you're taking Hawaii and Autzen?
No, I mean, it's 56-10 Michigan last year, 2 years ago, 44-10 UCLA, 45-27 Oregon State. This is, Bo Nix coming back, Heisman Trophy candidate. This is too big of a bite to chew, but I do want to give a shout out to the Hawaii super fans. So Wayne, Fuchsia, people that I hang out with, Ryan, people that I hang out with down there. They travel to every game, and they went to the big house in Ann Arbor, and they sat there and took it all and walked out with a smile. And I know that they're going to be there in Eugene for this game. So hopefully it goes better than we're expecting, but looks like an L.
And shout out to them, because that's like the vibe of the college experience. I like to think is they're hitting the road games too. Yeah. I think I'm already good friends with them, even though I've never met them.
Well, it's
because
got to be
I dig their style.
Hell.
Yeah.
And on that note, this is a pay your bills kind of game for Hawaii, because it's got to be expensive as hell to do all that travel.
Well, yeah, you go play the P5. Vanderbilt got that SEC money. Yeah, sometimes it's good to get that check.
Got to pay the bills.
Hey, one more shout out to Wayne Coito. You talked about super fans. He's been to over 70 straight Hawaii games, home and road. So if we're not talking about, you guys talked about the Fordham to Hawaii trip. I mean, Hawaii, in the course of a few years, they played a game in Australia. They played a game at UMass. And so he lives in California and has managed to make every home and road game 70 straight. So shout out to Wayne.
Definitely. Shout out to Wayne. And Wayne has an open invite to come on this show at any time. Wayne has an open invite to come on this show at any time. Hit us up, Wayne, if you're interested. All right. The following week, I'm a Jerry Kill guy, right? I locked up on our season lock total last season in August. I said New Mexico State on the over, and I told you I thought he could get to a bowl game. He got to a bowl game, and he won a bowl game against Bowling Green. I think this is a winnable game because New Mexico State is still not there, but I do love the culture that Jerry Kill's instilled there in Las Cruces. I am calling for New Mexico State to win a close one on the island. Patty C, what are you doing here?
It's difficult because he is doing a good job. They won by 19 last year, but that was in Las Cruces. I think the Warriors are gonna get it done.
All right. I like it. I think it's a game. This is like a 27-24 game, man. This is one I'm going to be watching. Michael, the Aggies of New Mexico State coming all the way to the island. What are you doing here?
This is a tough one. New Mexico won 6 out of their New Mexico State won 6 out of their last 7 games. They should be 3-1 at this point. They got their quarterback, Diego Pavia, coming back. He's a dual threat quarterback. You mentioned that they beat him last year in Las Cruces. The year before, this is the third year they're face off. Hawaii beat them 41-21. So there's history there. It's hard to extrapolate trends from the end of last year and just say that New Mexico State is going to hit the ground running again. I'm going to have to take. I'll say New Mexico State, unfortunately. And just because I think that they have a more seasoned team. You talk about Jerry Kill. But this is another one that Hawaii could definitely win.
Definitely.
I'm sorry to disappoint Patty C.
We can't blame you for being a homer. You're being pretty fair
This isn't
here.
even that. A homer would be like, we're going to beat Oregon.
Right.
No, but
that's what I'm saying.
This is a winnable game.
Very fair.
But I think New Mexico State's just a little bit ahead. They both started at the same time. Timmy Chang didn't start with a clean slate. Yeah.
You don't have that Hawaii fever.
Oh, well, I got that fever the very next week. On Saturday, September 30th, when they go to that filthy stadium. Hey, UNLV, you ruin your home field advantage when you're not playing at Sam Boyd. You fucking idiots. All right? Look, you're at Allegiant Stadium. No, I can tell you right now. I don't care. Barry Odom. It could be Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow is probably bringing in more.
Barry Manilow might be performing at the same time. They have that little DJ booth over there.
Oh, man. I mean, this is a win. They beat him last year. They're going to beat him again, especially because it's September. When do you want to play first-year coaches?
Copacabana.
September. Yeah. Dude, I like this. They're going to go into Allegiant and get the dub. UNLV's already had turmoil. They had Bobby Petrino there as the OC for like a month, and then he leaves for the A&M job.
Odom's a good coach, though.
I don't think it's there yet. Though.
Yeah,
I'm taking Hawaii. No one's going to be at this game. Yeah. Who you taking?
Give me the Warriors.
All right, Michael. What are you doing here at Allegiant Stadium?
So this is going to be a home game for Hawaii. They call Las Vegas the ninth island. They take over that stadium. It doesn't take much to take over that stadium. Very few people want to watch a game in a Roomba vacuum. We're RIP, Viva La Sam Boyd, all that. This is a game where Hawaii has, the tailgate on that postage stamp that they have available for tailgating. That's going to be all Hawaii fans. And I believe it will be a Hawaii victory.
Let's go. So that puts me right now going into the bye week. Wait, do they have 2 bye weeks? No, they have 1. Okay. That puts me now I got them at 3-3. So the win total is at 3.5. Patty C, what do you have?
3-3.
3-3. And Michael, you have them at 3-3 too, correct? Or
I think I have them at 2-4.
2-4. Okay. Well, still, you're still in reach of the over. Once again, if we're paying attention to that. So, out of the bye week comes the San Diego State Aztecs. Are they in the Mountain West? Are they in college football? I don't know what's going on, but they might be in the Pac-12 by the time this game kicks. But San Diego State's coming to the island. They almost lost last year at the Snapdragon Stadium, at the Snapper, Patty C. But trip to the island, San Diego State's in this interesting spot right now where I know the fans were kind of wanting Hoke to get fired, but he keeps winning enough that it kind of puts you in like, hey,
Purgatory.
you just built a brand new stadium. But I got to still go San Diego State. But I wouldn't be shocked if Hawaii won this thing. So I got them at 3-4. What are you doing here?
I love the Warrior matchup, Aztecs versus Rainbow Warriors. Third most played team all time since San Jose State and Fresno State.
This should be rivalry week.
This should be This should be after Thanksgiving. They should play every year because San Jose State doesn't have a rival either.
So I'm saying you give Fresno because I think Fresno plays.
It's Mainland Paradise versus Island Paradise.
Yeah,
let's make it happen, people.
Fresno should play San Jose.
They do, and
not this year.
No, not this year.
This year, Fresno gets San Diego State, which I get. It's California.
Typically, they do, but San Jose State, Hawaii, or San Diego State, Hawaii should be rivals every year. But San Diego State's ahead of them right now, so I'm going Aztecs.
Going Aztecs, Michael. What are you doing here?
This is a toss-up for all the reasons you guys are talking about. Maybe the best game they played that they didn't win with last year was in San Diego. I watched their quarterback. Was it Maiden? In the Hawaii Bowl, I mean, that guy couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in that game. It was very inaccurate, but they do have some advantages on the offensive, defensive line. So this is a winnable game. Gun to your head prediction. Got to take San Diego State.
Yeah.
Bring them both into the Pac-12 at the same time.
I'm in, buddy. All right.
Well, the joke is that San Diego State declared their independence on the 4th of July. They just don't happen to have a place to go. So hopefully they find a home. I'm a San Diego boy, so hopefully they can do it. But what's that saying? Count your chickens before you hatch.
Yeah. Hilarious. What's going on there? Yeah. Well, look, I see Saturday, October 21st, and I see this is like talk about being on the hot seat. Former New Mexico Lobo player Danny Gonzalez has been the coach of New Mexico. I think the writing's on the wall a little bit for this year, and we've already speculated on this very show that Bronco Mendenhall could be the next because he has ties to New Mexico. But the only thing is, it's right on that cusp of cold weather. I was caught in a snowstorm in Albuquerque. I think this very time, I think it was October 20th. So it's potential to be really cold, but it also still could be really nice. University Stadium, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Michael, you've been there. What's the fan experience like there? Is this a daunting? I know back in the 90s when Rocky Long had this thing going, it seemed like it was a daunting place from TV's point of view, but now it seems like they haven't had a lot of success lately. Is this a tough place to go into?
It's not. It's a beautiful stadium. I'm glad they changed the name. They got it back to University Stadium, so it sounds more like a college stadium. But it is, they're not going to get high capacity. I have been there for the New Mexico Bowl game, which is mid-December, and that's a lot colder than the mid-October. But I don't think it should be. I mean, they went 2-10 last year, 0-8 in the Mountain West, scored 157, gave up 312. Lost 9 in a row to end the season. This should not be an intimidating environment.
Give me a win. But you know what I am concerned about on the schedule so far is the teams that I feel like they're really winnable games are on the road, like New Mexico, Nevada, and even Wyoming, and UNLV. But
this game, October 21st, by the way.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It could be cold.
High in Albuquerque on average in October, 72, low 46. Time of day might be a factor in this game.
Yeah, I'm going. What are you doing here, Patty C?
I'm going to Hawaii.
I am too. So that
2-10.
That puts
New Mexico last year.
That puts me on the over. I've cashed
here
this
we
ticket.
go, baby.
Yeah, we still got a bunch of games left. Michael, did you go on Rainbow Warriors to win here?
Yeah, I mean, for all those reasons we talked about, 9 straight losses. I know we don't want to carry over every trend, but I think Hawaii has more talent, and by then I think the run and shoot should be much improved. So you can put me down for win number 3 right there.
Let's go. Okay, now we got the reunion, Sheva and Cordiero. the starting quarterback of the San Jose State Spartans, are coming into the Chin Complex Center on October 28th. I'm kind of high on San Jose State this year. I feel like no one's talking about them. Everyone's talking Fresno, Boise. I even see some San Diego State, some Air Force talk. Everyone's forgot about Brennan's squad. I think San Jose State might be all right. I got San Jose State winning on the island. Patty C, what are you doing here?
Seven Cordillero, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions last year.
He's a player, man. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they probably hold a ton of animosity toward him, so there's not that revenge on the mind. I think everyone for
Hawaii, it's revenge for Cordillero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It probably is revenge for. I don't know. I just think San Jose State, like you said, Brent Brennan doing a good job there. I think they get it done.
Michael, what are you doing here on the island?
All right, so this is going to be the first appearance of the fan hat showing up in the predictions. Last year they played the season finale at San Jose State, lost 27-14. They've lost 3 straight games against San Jose State. It is an emotional game. I think that if the things hadn't transpired with Todd Graham, I don't think Shevin had any intention of leaving. But by doing so, he set the dominoes in place to get to the spot that we're at right now. And I think the game is emotional, but they didn't have the bullets last year to compete. So let's say they win October 21st at New Mexico. They come home with momentum, bigger talent, and want to assert themselves. And so I'm gonna take the upset. I'm gonna take San Jose or take Hawaii over San Jose State.
Wow. I like it. This
There
is
it
like my
is.
Stanford play, man. You got to have a couple upsets there. I like it. I can see it. A little sleep at the wheel for San Jose State. But, okay, the next game. See, the next game's another one I hesitate on because I truly believe I honestly believe Hawaii's a lot better than Nevada.
The superior team here.
I think they have a better roster right now.
Nevada 2-10 last year.
But the only thing that scares me is November 4th in Reno. I've seen snow in this stadium too. I'm still going Hawaii. But if it snows, both these teams run the run and shoot and the air raid. If it snows, I don't know who to give I guess you'd give it to Nevada because they practice in the cold, but I'm not very high on Nevada.
Nevada sucks.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And you learned that last year. You took the over.
Wait, did I?
You took the over on the Wolfpack.
Wait, it was Colorado State. That was our beef.
Yeah.
Colorado State
Yeah.
and Nevada, when they both sucked ass.
Yeah.
But Nevada, Michael, I'm sure you got some stats you want to rattle off here about this Nevada team.
So this game, you talked about their record last year. Hawaii beat them 31-16 at home. You talked about the Hines picking up the running game in the second half of the season. They ran for 223 yards in that game. So that running game was not there for the first half of the season. So that's one where it showed balance. And they also held Nevada to 3 of 13 on third down. So good defense, hold the ball with a dominant running game. It's the opposite formula that they employed for much of the first half of the season. So I've been to Nevada. It's a little bit of a hostile crowd, but maybe if they're 2-10 last year, you don't know how much of a presence they're going to have at the game by that time of the season. So I'm going to go Hawaii taking this one. I think it could be a very close game, but I'll pick Hawaii.
Nevada losers of 10 straight games.
There you go.
Well, they are not getting it done there.
So
Things are going wrong in Reno.
That puts me at 5 wins for Hawaii. 5 wins. Now,
Yeah, buddy.
The only problem is Air Force is coming to the island, and Troy Calhoun, I think one of the most underrated coaches in America. Unfortunately, though, the NCAA has this stupid rule where they're getting rid of cut blocks, so you might see Air Force out of the gun a little bit more, which is disgusting, and they should reverse that rule. And I will hammer this home until the cows come home, Patty C.
Yeah.
But I got to take Air Force. I think Air Force is underrated. I mean, they were like 17 points away from an undefeated season
Air Force is freaking
a year ago. So I'm going to take the Falcons on the island. What are you doing here?
This is your classic run the ball versus pass the ball kind of game. Contrast styles make matchups. By the way, you said you got Hawaii at 5.
Yeah,
right.
I said Stanford, Albany, UNLV, New Mexico, Nevada.
Well, buddy, let me tell you what. Take last year away, the previous 4 years, they had at least 5 wins, and that includes a 9 game schedule in 2020. They still were 5-4. This team is a bowl team as a habit,
Yeah.
So it's not that they should be coming back here. Yeah, I'm going Hawaii to win this one.
What? Against Troy Calhoun?
Oh, no. Sorry.
Okay. I was a bit surprised there.
I'm rattling off.
Okay,
I'm still thinking about Nevada. No, Air Force will smack them. Air Force will smack them.
Okay, Michael, what are you doing here with Troy Calhoun coming to the Ching Complex Center?
So there's not much recent history between these teams. They haven't played since 2019. The last time we saw Air Force play, they played in the Armed Forces Bowl against Baylor, and it was one of the coldest bowl games they've had in history, and they absolutely pounded Baylor into the ground. They won 30-15. Brad Roberts led the nation in rushing, 1,728 yards. Air Force led we're not surprised, but they led the nation in rushing, 326 yards per game. This, styles make matchups, as Patty C said. This is a tough one. And if you have any weaknesses in your defensive line, if you can't keep your offense on the field, this is one where you're going to pay for it. So, I have them on a 3-game winning streak to this point. I'm going to take Air Force. I think that I've seen them do it to a lot of teams, and I think they can do the same thing here.
Air Force had the #1 defense in the nation last year. A lot of people don't realize. They think Georgia was top 10, but Air Force #1 in the nation.
Yeah, I was serious.
The very next week, this one will be cold. November 18th, War Memorial Stadium. I plan to go to the stadium this year. Michael, what's the home environment like there? This seems like one that's going to be cold as hell. November 18th at War Memorial.
So 2 things. You talked about Hawaii seeming like this mystical place. Well, the elevation in Laramie is 7,220 feet, and you're reminded of it because it's printed on the field at the stadium. And, you fly into Denver Airport, it's about 2.5 hours north, and it is cold. And I've been there actually for this. I told you about this on one of our preview episodes. I was there in 2020. It was a Friday night game versus Hawaii. They beat Hawaii, but I had to leave in the third quarter because I had a 10-hour drive to Kansas for an 11 a.m. kickoff, and I made a 10-hour drive in a 12-hour window to get there. I left. The game was in hand. Wyoming won, but it is intimidating. It's isolated. It's cold, and we hear about like the Denver Nuggets in the NBA. It's hard to win road games up there because you have to adapt to the environment. Well, imagine getting dropped off there on Thursday night or Friday morning and having less than 24 to 48 hours to prepare. So it's a tough one. I personally think that this is a Wyoming win, and I would say that they're playing App State at home this year, and I expect them to win that game too. So there's no shame of losing they call it the War.
At the War, Patty C. Any chance you're taking
Hawaii? I hate to say it, you guys are going to have the old bleeding lungs syndrome when you go up to that 7,000 foot elevation. Although I think Hawaii's got some mountains too over there, so maybe it won't be as bad as we think. But still, cold, high altitude. Give me the Cowboys.
Yeah. Okay. And then that puts us at our final game. Now this could be huge because if you're trying to make a bowl game, this is it right here in a way. Colorado State, Jay Norvell, their offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach, Matt Mummy. I just saw that via his Twitter. Like I said, Hal Mummy's been on the show before, a great guy. And so we're excited to cover Matt Mummy. And, Matt Mummy is good friends with Timmy Chang. He was just out there. I saw Matt Mummy tweet this out that he was with Timmy Chang, family vacation. They used to be on the same staff at Nevada and Colorado State together. So this is one where they're going to know each other. Norvell, Mummy against Chang. They know what they want to do. Last season, this was quite the game as it came down to, the final couple minutes of the game where, I think Colorado State escaped with a 17-13 win. This one's on the island. Give me an upset, Patty C. Let's go bowling. I'm on the over anyway. Let's go bowling. Patty C., what are you doing here?
Baby, we're bowling again. I'm with you. Look, this was a close game, and Colorado State did get better over the course of the season for sure, which you would expect for a first-year coach. But I still think Hawaii, with that home field advantage, it's going to be good enough to win a close one. Entertaining end of the season.
Colorado State brought in a lot of guys from North Dakota State in the portal / and also a coach.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong about this one, but I think it's winnable. Michael, what are you doing here?
So I have them at 5 wins, and to be a bowl team, you have to be over 500, so they have to be 7-6. So even if I pick this one for Colorado State, I still have them at 6-7. I will say this: that if they go 7-6, most likely they will play at the Hawaii Bowl, which is a home game for them on Christmas Eve. I've been there for a previous one. They were not featured. So from a traveling perspective, if Hawaii could get to 7-6 and, you get an opportunity to spend Christmas Eve on Oahu rooting for Hawaii in a bowl game, that would be great. As far as this game, is Colorado State going to go on their off season 1 week early with a tropical vacation to the islands? They played a tough game last year. Like you said, 17-13. Hawaii was up at the half, 13-3. Colorado State outscored Hawaii 14-0 in the second half. They only ran for 48 yards, Hawaii, in that game, and just had the ball for 24 minutes. So to keep that game that close, it was quite an accomplishment. I'm going to pick Hawaii to win this one, and I would have them at 6 wins for the year.
6 wins, that's right. The 13th game, so they need 7.
Maybe they get the excuse, though.
Yeah,
they're always trying to get extra teams for these bowl games.
ESPN, come on. Look, so I'm on the over. Patty C is on the over. Michael Barker, a.k.a. College Football Campus Tour, is on the over. And, folks, look, we're all on the over. Get over there. Bet this thing. Look, before we get out of here, if you've listened to any of our other previews, Michael, has been to every single college football stadium in the FBS. He's been to most of the FCS. He's been to a lot of D2, D3 games. I'm telling you, his Twitter page is one of these things you just must follow. If you're a football fan, if you're a college football fan, it's just a must follow. But so normally, if you listen to those other previews, I would normally cut to an interview right now with Michael where he would explain, the stadium, what he likes about it, his personal experiences from there, the history behind it. So, Michael, you're on this episode, so we just go right into this. Let's go. The Ching Complex Center, obviously, this is not this is kind of a rental, right? This is like, and I haven't been there. Maybe it's still beautiful, but this is like when you're traveling and you could just get whatever you can while the dreams are being built, right?
So you could ask 100 people in Hawaii the solution to the stadium issue, and you're going to get 100 different answers. This is one of the most complicated issues you'll ever hear. But, they played in Aloha Stadium for 47 years. The previous stadium, Honolulu Stadium, they called it the Termite Palace. It was made of wood. My dad played a game there when he was in his college career. When they got rid of that, they got Aloha Stadium, 47 years. It got condemned because of rust, so now they call it the Rust Palace. They just had a farewell ceremony in February. I went to that. And so this stadium, Ching Complex, it was never intended to be a football home stadium. But there is no stadium in the state of on the island of Oahu that's FBS capacity, 15,000 minimum. So they have changed it. It was built in 2015 with 4,000 seats as a track stadium and home to women's soccer. Last year, they got it up to 9,000, and this year they're getting it up to 17,000. They're going to cover up the track and move it somewhere else. Beautiful field surface, and the downside is there's not that many bathrooms. The concessions are lacking. But as far as the difference between it and Aloha Stadium, it is right smack in the middle of campus. You could stand on the top of the bleachers. You could see the baseball field, the softball field, the tennis courts, the beach volleyball courts. Everything is right there. So you get trapped in the campus, and it's a tremendous location for Hawaii. The downside is there's no tailgating. There's no room for that. So yes, in a sense, it's a temporary stadium. They are getting it up to 17,000. When they have home games there, they get to keep all the money from concessions. So there's a lot there. The plan for new Aloha Stadium is to open in 2028. So yes, a temporary stadium, but it's going to be their home for the next 4 or 5 seasons.
Damn, 4 or 5 seasons. Look, Aloha Stadium, and that's cool. You went to the final ceremony there at Aloha Stadium because how many
legendary.
Obviously, the times I talked about, whether it was Dick Tomey and Paul Johnson or June Jones and Rolovich, just a lot of winning there. But you also had it as the Pro Bowl. I'm curious off the top of my head to know if that's where the Hawaiian WFL team in the 70s probably played there. I'm talking out of my ass a little bit. I don't know for sure if they played there, but I would think that perhaps they played there. It sucks that they didn't renovate that, but where are they going to build it? Are they going to build it right there next to it or something, or what?
So the Aloha is scheduled for demolition later this year. This plan has taken a long time. I mean, usually if you condemn a stadium in 2019, you don't have the next stadium up and running by 2028. So there's been a lot of hurdles, like we talked about earlier. COVID really impacted them, but the previous governor earmarked $400 million for the project. So it will happen. It's going to be right on the same spot. So, you talk about the lore and the mystique of Aloha Stadium. It could be, it was one of the first stadiums that mechanically could be configured into baseball. It was almost like a transformer stadium. They even had a preseason game a few years ago with Dallas Cowboys and the Rams, and they sold that thing out. You can go on YouTube and you can watch old broadcasts, and there's just always paper on the field flying, the Colt Brennan magic, the Timmy Chang thing. So, going there for the closing ceremony, I got there at noon. I got to stay there for 8 hours, and I've never stayed in the stadium for 8 hours. You think you would run out of things to do, but you couldn't go on the stands, obviously, because of the rust and the condemnation. But being there around some of the legends, Justice Apollo there, a lot of great guys. You just really, and Timmy Chang brought the team in there, and they did one final run through the stadium. So sad to say goodbye to such a great place, but the combination of getting the one on campus up and running and now having a pretty solid plan to get new Aloha Stadium in there by 2028 is encouraging. And, from a personal perspective, I'm not going to travel to games forever. And I've joked that the opener at New Aloha in 2028 is going to be my retirement game. So, not from being done going to college football games, because I plan to do that hopefully for as long as possible, but doing the 60, 70 games a year. Hopefully I'll reach my goal to see a game at all 261 D1 stadiums by then. And we could have a nice little retirement ceremony to open New Aloha Stadium.
There we go. Wouldn't that be fantastic, folks? That's why you should give Michael Barker a follow. Once again, at CFB Campus Tour, the guy goes to what he said, instead of going to 60, 70 games a year. What? Yes, that's why you should be following him at CFB Campus Tour. That's incredible, and his page is incredible. And yes, folks, we cannot wait for that stadium to be built. We love, to me, part of what makes college football great, and this is what drives me crazy when people talk about, there's going to be a separation between the Power Five and the Group of Five, right? Well, hopefully that never happens. But to me, I'm going to be supporting the thing that has Hawaii football because it's magical. It's magical to me. It's fantastic. And I'm on the over. Patty C's on the over. Michael Barker's on the over. And we're rooting for one Timmy Chang to resurrect this great program. Folks, subscribe to the College Football Experience. YouTube.com/the College Experience. You'll get access to all of our stuff. If you're a Hawaii basketball fan, Hawaii baseball fan, we got you covered. Hop on over there. Or if you love FCS college football, hop on over there. You're going to have it. We're all of our podcasts, though, are also on a solo feed wherever podcasts can be found. Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff. Subscribe over there. We are on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Patty C is on Twitter at PattyC831. I'm on Twitter at the Colby D. And remember, Michael Barker is on Twitter. And this is who gives a shit about my page? My page is just me. Just jackass. The real page you want to follow is at CFB Campus Tour, Michael Barker's page. So do that. You will be impressed. I guarantee you that, folks. This is the College Football Experience, Hawaii Rainbow Warrior style. Cannot wait for the season. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.